Hello and welcome to the John Hopkins Media Boot Camp 2021. I'm Mr. Grayson, one of the hosts of this podcast, and we're going to have a wonderful time with Ms. Tia Young, who is a professional podcaster. And to those who don't know, we are focusing on podcasting this week with young journalists ranging from sixth grade all the way to ninth grade. And they are trying to be like our guest, Ms. Tia Young. Ms. Tia Young is the host of Normal to Formal podcast. And its goal is to create and increase personal and professional earning potential. So I'd like to welcome Ms. Young to our show. Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. I'm just starting things off here as the host, but soon enough you'll see another couple of faces in my chair, and they will ask you questions. We've done research on you this morning. We went to your website. We know all about you. But seriously, we have done some research, and hopefully we've done our jobs and trained these young journalists to ask good questions. But before we get started, I'm going to give you a chance to say a few words, introduce yourself, and what you are about with your podcast. Go for it.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. Thank you, Crystal, for inviting me to speak. I am a new podcaster. Actually, I only started actually in 2020, so a little over a year. So COVID happened, and I wanted to kind of pivot a little bit. So I want to try something new. And I started Normal to Formal podcast. I'm an image and etiquette coach, so I teach social skills and good manners. And I just wanted to help people be their very best. And that's what I've been trying to do. I do the podcast alone right now, but I would love to start to do it with other people and interview, just like you're doing right now. So I love what I'm doing. I've been teaching etiquette now for over 20 years, and I love what I do. And I'm married. I have 3 daughters and 2 granddaughters. My family, we own car dealerships. My husband, Victor Young. But I'm so happy to be here. I love giving back in any way that I can. So it's such a privilege. Thank you so much.
I hear your husband, Victor, has a wonderful speaking voice. Is that true? Or how true
Yes,
is that?
yes, he does. He does. Everybody, when people hear him talk, that deep voice, that radio voice. So he did a little bit of radio and then production. And we have a production company also. So he probably would be a great guest for you also. And he has a podcast also.
What's his podcast subject? What does he do? Is it about cars?
It's called Daily Life Coach. So he talks about any and everything.
I see.
Right now, a little bit more of AI, artificial intelligence, and that kind of thing, stuff that I don't understand. So,
I got
so
you.
it's
I
always
got you.
very, very interesting, whatever he talks about.
Well, our time is limited, so I'm gonna be quiet, and I'm gonna let my one of my student co-hosts, Nashawn Cooper, ask a question, and he's gonna toss to another student, and we're gonna do it like a round table, and we'll try to do the best we can. So, across the table for me is Nashawn Cooper, Tia Young.
Thank you so much, Mr. Grayson, for introducing me. My question for you, ma'am, is saying as you're all about manners and etiquette, something that's known to be taught by your parents. Did you have that type of parent figure growing up that was really serious about etiquette that made you want to grow up and make your show to inform people about being polite and having these manners?
Yes, awesome question. Thank you so much. Yes, my mom. She was that person that was always very elegant and carried herself very well. And people loved, like, your mom is gorgeous and she carries herself well. So I wanted to be just like my mom. And then growing up, I didn't see it much. I didn't see a lot of good manners. I saw a lot of rude behavior. And I was expecting so much more people to be nicer. And I was a flight attendant for 14 years with United Airlines. So, of course, I saw a lot of bad manners on the airplane. And when 9/11 happened, I wanted to, change my career. And that's when I started my etiquette business to help people be nicer, really. But it did come from my mom.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now I have one of my very close friends who's also in this journalism program, Gloria Previs. Take it away.
So I have a little question about your podcasting and how you film your podcast. So what are your steps to make a podcast? Because we learned that you have to create an intro and like close. So what do you do to make your podcast?
For me, because I'm a new podcaster, I have so much more to learn. But I just kind of went out there and just started doing it. I learned a little from my husband too. He kind of showed me the ropes a little bit, but he's so much more natural. But for me, I research what I think people want to hear about, what's going on. My One of my last podcasts was about vaccine etiquette. So I look at the news and see what people really need to hear, and then how to do it well. So I research a little bit, get some facts, and then I do my podcast. It's normally about 15 minutes or less, but I do a little research, and then mine is all audio. So I don't do mine in front of the camera. It's all audio, and I have an app that record everything, edit, and then put it out there on all the different podcast platforms.
Thank you. I think Zendaya can take it and ask the question. My question for you is, why did you start podcast?
Why did I start it? Actually, because the opportunity of 2020 and COVID, because I normally would teach out in person when I would taught my etiquette. I couldn't do that. I couldn't go in front of people in groups to teach. So I had to pivot, and I wanted to try something new. So I started the podcast to be able to still do what I love, but do it in a different way. And I'm really, really enjoying it and learning more and more every day.
Okay, thank you. Now you will be speaking with Camille. Okay.
Okay.
So I wanted to know, do you have like a big setup you use to make up your podcast? Or do you have like a simple, like just use your phone, or do you have a big setup you use?
No, I don't have a big setup at all. Now, for my when I do things for video, I always want to make sure I look my best and my background looks, decent. Of course, that's very important. Zoom etiquette. But for my podcast, because it's all audio, I can be in my pajamas and record, and then I edit the whole. So I record maybe 30 minutes worth, and then cut it down to about 15. Take out the ums and the ahs and all the things I want to change. Like, I don't really want to say that, change it a little bit. But that one's is very kind of almost behind the scenes production editing kind of thing. So it's not a lot of preparation other than the research. Great question.
Okay.
Well, I wanted to say is, first of all, you have really good answers.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Second of all, I would like to ask you a question. So, what do you think as to why is etiquette important?
Ooh, I love that. I love it. It's so funny. I love several quotes. One is, good manners will open doors that the best education cannot. So, no matter how smart you are, no matter how educated you are, if you're rude and disrespectful, you will not get very far. So, it's so important to be nice. Those common courtesies, please, thank you, I'm sorry, you're welcome, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, those kind of things, they really go a long way, and it help open more doors for you, whether you realize it or not. People are always watching you and how polite you are. So always make sure you use your best manners. It really, really helps.
Okay, thanks. That was a really good answer again.
Thank you.
All right, that's ma'am. Hello. And my next question is a little more personal, but saying as I really want to get into this career, I would like to know with your deals, and even I saw that you're involved with iHeartRadio. Are you making a lot of money, and how are you profiting? How are you making your profits and stuff like that? I would like.
Not yet, but what I've learned from other podcasters and YouTube and different things like that, that's the goal, is to get a big following, people to follow you on other social media platforms, and then they start listening to your podcast. So if they follow you on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it may be, that's the goal. So I'm learning that. I'm kind of doing it backwards. I started a podcast, and then now I'm trying to get a lot more followers. When I should have had a lot of followers first, and then I would have had a ton of people already knowing who I am and what I do and able to join. So I would love you all to follow me and listen to the podcast, download the podcast, and give me any comments you may have, because I'm still learning and growing. But I'm not. I do make a little money, but it's like cents. It's not. It's not. I
Mhm.
haven't made it to the dollars yet. So one day I'll get there. Thank you.
All right, and now that I'm finished, back to you, Gloria.
So, as we learn here, sometimes big creators have a big team, and like some people edit their videos, some people shoot their videos, some people write their like script for them. So I have a question. Do you have a person or do you edit um your podcast?
Great question too. Right now it's a team of one. Solopreneur doing everything myself. As I grow and get bigger, I do have people around me that helps. I have a website designer, I have a virtual assistant and things like that, but nobody really to help with the podcast yet. But as I grow and get bigger, I know I'm going to need help because I'm not real tech savvy. As y'all see, I had a lot of trouble getting on today with the internet, but I'm here, and I do look forward to that eventually.
Thank you. My next question is, where are you podcast?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Where are you podcast?
Where I podcast from, or where do I?
Oh,
Okay, I'm normally here at my home office. I'm here right now at home, so I normally shoot everything and record everything here at my home, and hopefully with Apple Podcasts or whatever platform you use, it can be all over the world that people can listen.
Thank you. So we know that you used to work on the airline. So what have you like? Did you see a lot of rude behavior on there, and did that kind of like influence why you want to show etiquette?
Yes, absolutely. That was one of the main reasons. Like I said, I flew for 14 years with United Airlines, and a lot of rude behavior, snapping their fingers, almost like you didn't matter. And that's one thing I want to always point out. No matter what somebody does for a living or not for a living, they can be homeless. You always treat everyone with respect. And I didn't see that out in the world. And I traveled internationally, and some countries were nicer than others. Some cities were nicer than others, but I'm always going to give someone a smile no matter where I go and treat them special. And they look at me, because they're surprised a lot of times. Oh, she said hello. And I'm just being cordial, always have an approachable face. And as the airline flight attendant, when people greet and walk on the airplane, you have to greet them, welcome aboard. So I always want to make people feel, able to come to me, especially when there's turbulence on the airplane, and know that they can come to me because I have that smile on my face. Now, I might have butterflies in my stomach because, it might be a little bumpy on the airplane, but they will never know it. So always have that approachable and friendly face.
Thank you.
I'm gonna give you another question. This one's gonna be like a lot personal.
Okay.
So, is there anything that worries you that would make you change your profession, maybe?
Anything that worries me. Actually, I'm blessed to have a husband that pretty much takes care of the household bills. So I really, when I started doing this, it was almost like a hobby because I still wanted to be able to be the best mom I could and travel with my family and not have a job where I had to be there every day. So I'm really, really blessed because of that. So, but I really love it. It's my passion. It's a passion when you would do it for free. And the time flies, and where did the time go? Because you're doing what you love. So it's my passion. So I can see myself doing this for the rest of my life and just getting better at it. Great question.
Okay, that's good to hear. Thank you.
Hi, ma'am. We're back, and as we started, as Mr. Grayson said, we researched you before we came in, and the episode that we saw was the vaccine etiquette, and we were like listening to your structure and how you had the hashtags and all that. So, can you please talk about more into the episode and the etiquette in itself? Give us a premiere of like a snippet of what the whole episode was, the bio.
Yes, I'm trying to remember now because when I do it and research it, I always forget exactly what I said. But I know I did want to talk about how you really can't ask people if they're vaccinated or not. That's one of the main things that I remember from that particular podcast. It's just being nice. Some people want to get vaccinated, some don't, some can't yet because of age. But I always, I did get vaccinated, like I said on the podcast, and I feel fine, and I feel a lot more comfortable going out in public. But also, anytime I do a podcast, like the music at the beginning and the music at the end, and always you want to leave them with something where they can follow you. So I always, my Mrs. Tia Young, MRS Tia Young, is my social media platform, or Mrs. Manners on LinkedIn. So I always want to leave people with that information and my website and my phone number and things like that. to connect afterwards. And that's the goal, to make more connections, get more followers.
All right. And before I pass it back to Gloria, I did have a personal question that I wanted to ask you. You can really answer this yes or no. Do you think people are like naturally born rude or without the etiquette? Do you think they need this teaching, or is it something that people were born with the skill, but they choose to ignore it and they choose to approach things in that certain way if they had a bad day, something like that?
Ooh, I love that question, actually. I think people are born nice. You know what I mean? I think people are born coming into the world really with no, they don't know good from bad. It depends on who they're around and those examples they see, I think, because people are going to lead, the parents really are the ones that the children are following. So no matter if they say it or not, they're going to see the behavior. If it's a negative behavior, they're going to think it's normal. So I think training is always very, very important, learning the do's and the don'ts. But some people just don't know any better. And back in the day, we called good manners home training because that's where you learned it at the home. But if you're getting bad information and you're being led in the wrong way, that's what you're going to do and not really realize it's bad manners until someone teaches you better. Great question.
Thank you so much. And to you, Gloria.
So about the vaccine etiquette, I have a question. How did you come up with the idea to, how did you come up with the topic?
Yes, with vaccine etiquette, I try to watch what's on the news, what's going on in the world, and I try to do a topic on that base and add the etiquette into it. So vaccine etiquette, it was in the news quite a bit. And I think I did that one a couple months ago. So they're talking about the vaccines, and now it's a new strain out. So I might have to do another one now. But I always look at the news and try to figure out what can help people the most at this time.
How do you think social media affected etiquette influence? I mean,
How does social media influence it?
influences. Yeah.
When I think about social media and etiquette, it's just so many things that people do that are really rude and disrespectful. um, I mean, I always say keep negativity off of social media. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. That's so important to me because you can hurt feelings. There's a lot of bullying going on social media. So whatever I can do, I need to get myself out there a little bit more, for people to see that just be kind, just be nice. So social media for you all younger, generation, just be nice and it'll carry on to other people.
Thank you so much. Now I'd like to pass it to Mr. Grayson.
Well, what did you think about these young journalists?
Oh, I loved it. They're awesome. I see a great
You guys,
future for all of them. Oh my God, I'm so glad I'm a part of that. Awesome. Thank you. They've done an awesome job. And thank you, you all for your patience with the technology.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. The questions were spot on and very informative. We really appreciate you taking time out today.
Thank you.
yes,
You're welcome.
absolutely. And, we're going to keep listening to your podcast, and thank you for being conscientious of the things that are going on in our society that we used to get at home, but it sounds like you're giving it to people digitally, and that's awesome. And I'm hoping that we can continue to grow as podcasters, and maybe one day you'll see some of these guys in their own podcast, and it'll be because of your help. So thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much.
I don't know which one is it. Which one is it? That one. Okay. That one? All right, here we go. All right, well, listen, that wraps it up today for our Journeys in Journalism Media Boot Camp with Ms. Tia Young. Join us tomorrow as we have another wonderful guest on here, and they can join us at the table. So thank you so much, and everybody keep podcasting.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.